Scandal for Facebook. This time the tech giant is under fire after the social network was used to auction a child bride in South Sudan. Facebook says the post was taken down as soon as the company learned of it, but that only came after the girl was already married. We have more now from CNN's Samuel Burke.
A barbaric use of technology. That's how humanitarian organization Plan International is describing the auction to marry a girl in South Sudan who they say is just 16 years old. All this carried out via Facebook. The girl's father reportedly received 500 cows, 3 cars, and $10,000 in exchange for his daughter. The post was originally published on Facebook on October 25th, but Facebook didn't become aware of it until November 9th, 15 days later. The social network has taken down the post, and a spokesperson tells CNN, quote, "Any form of human trafficking, whether posts, pages, ads, or groups, is not allowed on Facebook. We removed the post and permanently disabled the account belonging to the person who posted this to Facebook. We're always improving the methods we use to identify content that breaks our policies, including doubling our safety and security team to more than 30,000 and investing in technology." But activists worry this could inspire other families to use social media to try to get larger dowries for their daughters. Plan International is calling on the South Sudanese government to investigate this matter and suspend any officials who took part in the bidding. Even though it's against the law there, UNICEF says more than half of girls in South Sudan are married before age 18.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Now, most of you know I've covered Facebook for a long time, talking about social media. From, discussing the privacy issues, discussing the sick obsession that our society has with being so self-absorbed, of posting their every move of every day on Facebook. This is the society that they want. They want a society that's self-absorbed, a society where they can almost tell people that they're their own gods, because eventually that's what they will do. Because that's eventually, that is what they teach in Freemasonry. That is what they teach to Satanists who practice black magic, who believe in all this stuff, that they're here to reign over us and all this nonsense. Well, we're going to pretty much end up in a society like that video I did about the TV show where people have their own social scores and all that stuff. But this is worth noting now. Could be a fake story that's about censorship, more and more censorship. Like I've covered before how on Facebook we've seen people actually committing crimes and filming it on Facebook, which is just a form of more censorship, how they could usher in, people killing themselves or doing all this stuff on Facebook. Now there's this story that a child bride was auctioned on Facebook in a barbaric use of technology. Facebook is coming under fire for a barbaric use of technology that allowed the sale of a child bride to be held on its site. An auction was held on the social media platform for a 16-year-old girl in South Sudan, which sought payment for her hand in marriage. Facebook said the post was taken down as soon as the company learned of it, but that wasn't until after the girl was married. Now, that's kind of hard to believe, right? Being that any one of us, including myself, who has a YouTube channel and we try to talk about certain topics, in 24 hours or less, your video is pretty much removed. Many of you comment to me and say, hey, I posted your video, or I wrote about something similar to this topic, whether it's one of the hoax shooting events that occurs, and you put up on Facebook and you get your Facebook account suspended, you get your Twitter account suspended, right? They're instantly monitoring this stuff, right? They have all these, robots or bots that are like chasing after fake news, and that's all they talk about, right? Oh, we got to monitor fake news on the internet. Yet it took over 2 weeks for Facebook to see that somebody was auctioning off an underage child to be married on their platform. I mean, really? And listen, a lot of these stories, they do create a lot of this. We know that they traffic children, okay? We know that the elites, the whatever you want to call them, the Satanists, traffic children. It's the biggest business, biggest industry in the world. Stories like this come out not to shine light on the fact that, someone's being trafficked. They come out because there's always an agenda behind the story. And that agenda right now, with everything we're seeing, is more and more censorship, right? We're seeing massive pushes for gun control. Every day there seems to be some type of story where somebody just loses their mind and goes and shoots up a place and then happens to kill themselves right after it, right? and everybody's screaming for gun control, even though these events couldn't be more poorly executed. It's like they're having, in every town across America, they're having these like events or, practice events. The word slips my mind off the top of my head, but where they're acting it out. They're acting out the shooting event, so people are prepared, and then, oh, look, it just happens to happen in the same place. I mean, it's laughable how ridiculous it is. But the stuff like this, whereas I continue to tell you about this story, you'll scratch out and you'll see where they're going with this type of stuff, with censorship on the internet. And of course, even if a story like this is true, like they have no problem letting it out because it has nothing to do with, any Satanists out there. It just has to do with, some perverted person, married a girl who was being sold on the internet and being trafficked. Remember, they always want you to think about child trafficking as if it's nothing more than that. They never want you to think about Satanism, cannibalism, the adrenochrome, and all the other sick stuff that these people are into. It says, according to the children's rights organization Plan International, the girl was bid on by 5 men, some of whom were reportedly high-ranking South Sudanese government officials. Activists are concerned that the auction, for which the father reportedly received 500 cows, 3 cars, and $10,000 in exchange for his daughter. 500 cows? I mean, how's that transaction happening? Right? Are they going to ship the cows? I mean, what? Unbelievable. That this transaction could inspire other families to use social media sites to receive larger payments. Right? So this is kind of something that they want people to think, well, all of a sudden they're going to be auctioning kids and stuff on eBay. Because remember, they've gotten caught with their hand in the cookie jar when it comes to the child trafficking stuff. More and more people have been waking up to it. And I've been saying it since I started my channel. I try to remind people all the time. The thing to remember, other than obviously these poor children who are trafficked, a lot of them are born into this. Their mothers are witches. They have the child. They sacrifice the child or they use the child. And, the child, boy or girl, gets sent around to all these sick Satanists who just, molest the child, do all this disgusting stuff. But they never want to mention Satanism with it. They just talk about trafficking like, they're selling the person and this girl's going to be a bride. Or, they're selling her to a third world country so she can go make shoes for Nike or something like that. Slave wagers. So remember that Satanism is always around this stuff. So when they do talk about it, they're never going to mention that stuff because, that's the satanic panic. That's the crazy stuff. So it says Facebook told CNN that its platform is used for the bidding, which started on October 25th. And it was removed. Facebook removed the post on November 9th, 15 days later. Any form of human trafficking, whether posts, pages, ads, or groups, is not allowed on Facebook. Yeah, you think? They even need to make a statement like that? Any form of human trafficking is not allowed on Facebook. Well, I'd hope so. I'd hope it wasn't allowed on Facebook, because it's not legal. Yet, boy, they seem more concerned about all of us, talking about any of these events or taking away our free speech and calling it hate speech and bullying. Right? It says we removed the post and permanently disabled the account belonging to the poor. That's it? You just deleted the guy's account? I mean, if this is a real story, shouldn't this guy be in jail? We're always improving the methods we use to identify content that breaks our policies, including doubling our safety and security team to more than 30,000 and investing in our technology. I mean, they go on and just talk about the marriage took place November 3rd. So the person was auctioned on the 26th. It took place on November 3rd. I don't know, what sicko, did the bidding. I mean, what did he fly all the way to Sudan? I mean, what's the story behind it? It doesn't really sound like it has many legs, but most of these stories that come out about trafficking end up being fake. And most of the stories where people actually dig and research and find people who are victims are actually the true stories. Because the stories that you'll hear on the news, you'll never, ever hear about SRA. Ever. Not since they had to create the satanic panic. You're not going to see news stories where somebody, a group of people come forward and they say, well, we were molested or this. You'll hear it in other countries, or you won't hear it in America. They'll just discredit it and go, oh, this person has clearly got mental problems. They were saying that they were, in a witch's circle and all this was going on. That stuff's all make-believe. Meanwhile, every TV show and every movie, they're doing it. I mean, turn on Netflix. The movie The Babysitter, all these movies that they have on there. Sabrina the witch. They're all doing these satanic rituals. They're like, no, that would never really happen because this is make-believe. And people don't imitate what they see or want to join, I mean, give me a break, really? It says there's a massive call now on the government to investigate, child marriage is a serious violation of human rights and a form of violence against girls. And boys. I mean, let's be real here. It can have profound consequences on a child's survival, health, and education. No crap. I mean, what are these statements? I mean, just a total waste of breath. Them saying stuff like this. Yeah, no crap. It could have a problem on the child's, future, his mind, his health, his development. When he's getting pawned off and sold. But sadly, there's children who are 2, 3, 4 years older who are victims to this stuff. And never heard from again, who are born really with no names because the mothers just give them into these covens. So I just wanted to cover it because this was on the main page of CNN. And obviously, like I always say, you got to see, you see it, your first reaction is, oh my goodness, because everybody sees it, you read it, it translates into your mind, and obviously you react. That's what all these stories do. But when you sit back and you look at it, you know that, they're never going to out these real trafficking circles, how the CIA is involved, the Finders Club. They're just going to do these stories that, have no connection really to anything. And then they're going to use it for their agenda, which we know this massive censorship agenda that's going on all across the internet, right? From YouTube to Facebook to Twitter. They want to monitor, they want to watch what everyone says. So we can't, the day of the last event that occurred involving guns, I put up a video a couple days later because I wanted to wait, and make sure, hey, is it safe to talk about? Flagged. I mean, you can't even talk about this kind of stuff. So the second, the video's not even up for 20 hours and it gets flagged. But this person's got a post up saying, I'm selling my daughter for 500 cows, 3 cars, and 10 grand. And you're telling me their algorithm can't pick that up and it takes them 2 weeks to figure it out? Oh, so what are you going to tell us next? Facebook needs even more heightened security, and we need to monitor more of what people say. And then it's going to go from that to like somebody trying to actually sell an item like on eBay, or someone's going to put up a post that's like, hey, I want to sell I got extra tires in my garage, I'd like to sell them. And they're going to monitor that because they're going to go, well, we want to make sure we get our tax money on that, sir. Right? I mean, think about how this is just going to turn into total police state insanity. It already is. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.